When we have a look at the conversations around resilience now, there's a lot of still misunderstanding of what it actually means
Yeah.
and how people can apply it. And it comes up. So I just want to share with everyone your definition of individual resilience, because I know there's a few different definitions, but just that individual resilience, what's that about?
Yeah, so I basically based my definition on the problems people were trying to solve when they asked me for this concept of resilience, because there's about 140 definitions in the literature, and you can read all these reviews around what it is. But for me, it's okay if they're asking for it. What is it the problems they're trying to solve? So for me, a person is individually resilient if they are on top of their everyday pressures and managing them in a healthy way. They're adapting to the things that are happening around them. And of course, that's been really huge recently. But they also have an eye to the horizon around proactively positioning. So for me, it's not about bouncing back. It's not about tough-mindedness, because that was never really what people were asking for. They were asking for ways to do more with less, manage change and uncertainty, deal with difficult clients, manage complexity, So my definition was always framed around the problems people were trying to solve. So you'll see certainly, lots of different versions of that. And I think some of the reasons why we might be getting some pushback, as you said, you've got a healthier relationship with the word yourself. I think that, we're moving away from that sense of being tough-minded and, just pushing through as being what we mean by resilience at work, because, of course, that's a dangerous thing, really, pushing through.
Oh, absolutely. And, my idea of resilience, before I came to you it was binary. You either were resilient and tough or you weren't and broken. And, so I spent a long time being broken because I wasn't feeling resilient and because, things were tough. But this idea of being able to manage it, being able to adapt and kind of move with it, move despite the struggle and the stress, but being able to employ different things to be able to be okay with how you're feeling.
Yeah, and that's a really important point, isn't it? That you felt not resilient, whereas it's not actually a fixed thing,
No.
At all. But and that's a very negative space to be in, isn't it? When
It's
you
awful.
feel you're not resilient, and it's binary, as you said.
Yeah, so there's individual resilience. Like there's, a number of components to that, and we're going to put the white paper of yours with our show notes and everything, so people can access it. But just the 7 components, like when there's more than one thing, when there's more than two things, when there's this multiple of factors that we can draw upon to be in flow with resilience and kind of move with resilience. I love that idea that there's this, if something's not working, but there are other bits that are, there's that hope factor.
Absolutely, yeah. And the model that we use is framed very positively as a strengths focus. So it's not like a deficit of I'm not good enough and I haven't got this. It's if I want to have a better set of routines and skills that enable me to manage what comes at me, what might they look like for me in my context, in my context, in my job, in my life?
Because I think that's where the conversation starts, right? When we've got this binary thing, how do you speak into that? I'm not feeling resilient. Oh, well, that's tough. What do you want to do about it? I don't know. Whereas if someone's saying, I'm just having a really tough time and I'm just not finding my groove, well, how's this aspect going? Like, I know like living in purpose, living authentically, physical health, your network, all of these aspects are in that. And so this is why I want to talk about it on this podcast of conversations, because that's where the conversation goes, doesn't it? Like, how are you feeling in this particular area?
Yes, yes. And I think it's really important to understand where people are before you can actually open that conversation. So for us in our work, as you know, because you're part of our global community, Julie, it's actually around, well, where are you at the moment? And here's a framework of things that you might consider that might be going well or might not be going so well, that really then inform an action. And the action might be something you do, or actually might be a shift in thinking. But it's a very positive, I wouldn't say a roadmap, but a framework for you to make sense, I guess, of where you are. But importantly, as you said, Julie, to provide a pathway and not feel I'm stuck in this, I'm not resilient and I'm not good enough.